We are now on game number 3 of the show match between WhiteRa and Rhett. Rhett currently leads the score 2-0 in a Bo7, so WhiteRa is getting dangerously close to elimination. It is on Cloud Kingdom, so I would give the advantage right now to WhiteRa. I believe this map is a Protoss favored one. It is very hard for the Zerg to kind of deviate from just taking the game into the late game, which Rhett is very good at. Definitely known as a macro Zerg, so he may not fear this map all that much. But WhiteRa knows that Rhett will most likely go for just a Infestor Broodlord composition and get a few other units to kind of just let him get to that stage of the game. So we'll see if WhiteRa can do any type of timing attacks. And finally, he is going out to scout Rhett, which is very good. Can actually deny a hatch because Rhett has been going hatch first the previous 2 games because WhiteRa just hasn't been scouting. So we'll see if Rhett tries to do that in game number 3 as well. But that one Overlord will be not seeing the probe. No, he won't. So as long as the probe does hide down, he can catch Rhett with his pants down, trying to go for that hatch first. But I believe the probe will come up just to make sure there is no pool. And WhiteRa coming up sees that creep and going to be parking right down. And now just waiting on the ramp, waiting for a drone. He knows the timing for a hatch first build. So WhiteRa is going to be waiting there for another 30 seconds. And if a drone doesn't come, then he will be going into scout. Also being right here, you can see if any type of lings do come. Sees the drone immediately turns around, builds that pool, and that looks like it was around the correct time. He was at 250 minerals, immediately built another drone and that pool, so does say, okay, cannot go hatch first, so Rhett knows the probe was there, and he's like, oh man, that sucks. Gonna get a little bit later pool. Now a drone. Looks like he is gonna be going to scout, maybe? We'll see exactly what happens. Rhett is not mining with 2 of them. Nope, this one is just gonna be taking a 3rd base, assuming that WhiteRa is gonna deny this base. Which, of course, he is. Rhett does build a hatch over at that 3rd location. And that isn't really ideal. I mean, you get your hatch up, but you get injects on it much later than it was at your natural. Because if it was at the natural, Rhett would do his first queen, do an inject, walk that queen on down here, and go up on 2 queens on 2 hatches very quickly. With this 3rd base being where it is, he's got to build the queen at this one, and then it can do an inject. So not nearly as ideal. Of course, it is harder to defend, but that is one of the subtleties about taking in the expansion at the 3rd base location is that the second inject on that hatch is delayed. So we'll see if Rhett does one inject and walks the queen on over here, and how idle that hatch is while the queen does make her journey over to that 3rd base. We do have the Overlord now coming in to scout to see exactly what WhiteRa is doing. And it looks like that was at 63, 54. So it was a Forge, then Nexus, then Gateway, then Cannon, which means Warp Gate Research can finish just after the 7-minute mark. And Rhett going to be taking a very fast 3rd base, and the Queen has started her journey down here. Will she get up to 25 in energy before she makes it on over? And did he do 2 injects at this hatch or just 1? I am not too sure. But it looks like he's not going to lose all that much energy. She'll get there when she's about 30, 35 energy. So not that bad. Pretty nicely handled by Rhett. Definitely has done this in the past. Only at 7 energy over that 25. So nice job. Maybe I was wrong about that little inject thing. This queen now going to be coming out, doing an inject on the main. Will be starting another queen relatively shortly to go on over to that natural base, which is also the 3rd base. The 7 score finishing immediately going to be starting on this warp gates. The Overlord looks like he was getting a probe count. Still doesn't see a gas right here. Going to be staying in this one area. And he sees that Zealot leaving the base. Going to be getting hit by a cannon a few times. Definitely a small mistake there. 2 Zealots now out on the map. Rhett does have a few lings just going in, trying to find out the timing of this 3rd base. Rhett probably can't attack the 3rd base, but if he sees it coming down like right now, maybe he will. Maybe he will just attack it because he knows WhiteRa will be skipping out on defense, or maybe Rhett would be taking a 4th base of his own because, again, very hard to attack a 3rd base on Cloud Kingdom. Zealot's now going to be coming in here. The Queen going to be running on away and going to do some drone Queen micro, it looks like. Nope, just going to run those drones away. There we go. The drones trying to come back and decide they can just mine. The Queens and Ling is going to be taking this out. Now the drones trap those Zealots and does a great job not losing a single worker there, I think. very nicely handled by Rhett, dealing with those two zealots with ease. This one hatch does not have a queen on it. Rhett not building a third queen, so I'm not sure if that is a mistake or if this is part of his plan. Definitely not gearing up to go for a 12-minute max out. WhiteRa going to be taking his next base, and actually the queen was on the way, so a little bit delayed, but he is getting a queen, so he will be up on 3 queens. I'm really curious what he's going to do about these 2 stalkers right now. They're just ignoring the queen right now and going to work on those drones. 6 lings in production. The lings do have speed, and the stalkers are going to be cutting them. They have to be careful, though. I mean, losing these 2 stalkers will be big, but they are doing some damage, just ignoring that queen altogether, targeting those drones, and now miking that Ninja Stalker away at 2 HP. Very nicely done by WhiteRa, getting that Stalker away. He is going to be going on back home, while this Stalker will be going down. Those lings will be enough to finish the job. Will he catch this one Stalker with those lings? It looks like he may very well do that. WhiteRa not bring any more Stalkers to greet this one while those lings are chasing it on down. And actually, he does not have speed. He has just started speed. That is 40 seconds along the way, so these Stalkers definitely still king of the area. The lings cannot catch up to them. WhiteRa does have his third base, 54 supply, 280 supply, 48 probes to 61 drones. We do have an Evo chamber now being built by Rhett, and going to be taking his 4th base. Does hold this washout with those 4 lings, and has overlords kind of scattered across the map. This one in a little bit of an odd spot. Surprised it's not like on one of these high ground. I think the overlord can hide on this somewhere. I'm not positive. But surprised that Rhett doesn't hold this one watchtower right now. That means WhiteRa could take him by surprise. Rhett going to be getting a infestation bit and a spider at the same time. That is a little bit odd. I expect the spider to be made when the hive is morphing, but maybe he's going to get +1 upgrades. I don't suspect him going mutas, just because mutas on this map can be pretty darn horrible. Because, well, Blink Stalkers can easily protect this 3rd base and the main. That's not too much area. The only one that is a little bit vulnerable is the natural, which means build a few cannons here and you are fine against mutas at the natural. And the main and 3rd base is easily fine. There's no way for the mutas to really hop between bases against Blink Stalkers. If you want proof, watch Zenio versus, I think it's IM Seed. I casted that also earlier today, and he just dealt with that very beautifully. And Rhett doesn't have all that many units. WhiteRa, though, going to be doing some type of immortal timing. And this could be absolutely devastating, as we do have a few roaches on the way. Depending on roaches for defense against immortals, definitely not a good thing. And I think WhiteRa has done a good job at keeping those immortals hidden. We do have passing glands, though, just about done. And now, Rhett does see the immortal. Looks like WhiteRa wants to take a 4th base behind this. Does have a pylon morphing in right here. The probe going to be getting a little bit closer. Going to be trying to pull forward pylons out on the maps. Or the map, not maps. And this one probe now going to be moving out to build another pylon. WhiteRa definitely being a little bit sneaky. Maybe this isn't doing forward pylons. Maybe this is just scouting to decide if attacking would be a good idea. And he is going to be seeing that hive just finishing. If he gets it, he just puts a pylon inside of Rhett's base. There's no way this is going to get completed. It does not get canceled, and Rhett does get a complete scout on WhiteRa. Does see Blink researching. Could be charged, but most likely it is going to be Blink, and WhiteRa has to do damage right now. If he doesn't, the Greater Spire will finish. Broodlords will come out, and WhiteRa will not have an answer to Broodlords. His tech is nowhere near ready to deal with them. Rhett morphing that Greater Spire at like 12 minutes into this game. Very, very fast Greater Spire. We do have Overlords spreading the creep down here so we can get some tumors out. Ling's gearing up to do a run by, trying to keep WhiteRa away from his base as long as possible. It looks like WhiteRa is going to be waiting for Blink to finish before he goes into attack. And where are all his units at? It just feels like WhiteRa doesn't have that much stuff. Only 10 Stalkers, 4 Sentries, 3 Immortals. And these Immortals will definitely be scary, but not that much anti-air. And that Greater Spire closing in, almost done. That Blink, though, is finishing, so WhiteRa will most likely be going in for an attack. Takes that one drone out, and there is a forward pylon back there, a little bit far away. The probe probably wants to come in, put one right here a little bit closer to the battle. WhiteRa doesn't have any immediate warp ins. He is getting a Stargate now, so he can deal with a Greater Spire if it did come out. doesn't have any scouting on this main, so he doesn't know how close Red is to getting Broodlords, as he is morphing in 4 right now. Nice blink by WhiteRa, but Red using the spines, targeting that one injured Stalker down. Here we go, Roaches coming in here, but there are 3 Immortals. They do get fungled, and some beautiful force fields by WhiteRa right now, trapping those Infestors in. Infestitarians do come out. Nice fungals on the Stalkers, and he just has to kill these Stalkers, and then the Broodlords will have a field day with the Immortals and this Colossus that did just join in. WhiteRa now sees those Broodlords out, and he's like, oh my god, he's going to blink underneath them, trying to take them out. One does go down, there are no Queens here to transfuse. Second one will be falling, but a lot of Lings do come in, trapping those Stalkers, and the Stalkers will be falling. 4 more Broodlords move over top of these Immortals, and WhiteRa is in danger yet again. We do have Ret taking a 4th base, but this one pylon is here. WhiteRa, Ret doesn't know about that, so Zealots are going to be morphed in to try to cancel this one base. WhiteRa has taken a 4th base behind this, and really needs to get a lot of Stalkers out. How many gates does he have, though? Doesn't look like he has all that many gates. Just 7 gates to his 4 bases. Needs to get more, but he is going up to a fleet beacon, so he is going to be getting motherships out. I don't think he has a Templar Archive, so he's nowhere near Archons to do any type of toileting action. These Lings come in. They are more than enough to deal with these Zealots. Zealots are at 2-2. Lings are at 2-2 as well. More and more Lings coming in. Those Zealots may actually be enough. Gonna try to take down this one hatch. WhiteRa trying to come in here, and met a Broodlord, does decide to back on off. Needs to get a lot more stuff. Going to be getting even more Colossus. And now more Zealots morphing in. Should not be using all these weapons on the Zealots. Sure, they're good at denying this one base, but right now Red is only 1 base ahead of WhiteRa. 75 workers to 91 drones. And all these Zealot whooping cycles is just lowering that Stalker count, and Ret is morphing more and more Broodlords, gonna be going up to 9. And right now, WhiteRa only has 6 Stalkers, gonna be losing even more, so WhiteRa just trying to put on pressure absolutely everywhere that Colossus does get fungal growth. We do have cannons defending this 1/4 base. And maybe what WhiteRa is trying to do is just deny Ret from being able to attack him. And if he does that, he will get enough time to get this mothership out and get Archons out. So that looks like what is WhiteRa's game, is just to be constantly everywhere, preventing the Broodlords from attacking him. But that Broodlord count is getting higher and higher. However, it won't matter if WhiteRa lands a good toilet. There we go. A big whooping of Archons coming down right now. WhiteRa needs to get a lot more gateways, though. Just now building 5 more gates. Those needed to come much, much earlier. And now Ret moving in with his Death Ball. Slowly but surely, more Broodlords morphing. 4 more in production. He is going to be up at 19 broods. But keep in mind, they can die in the blink of an eye. Only 3 Infestors, 16 Lings on the ground. So it is going to come down to a good toilet by WhiteRa, putting in Zealots in this 1 Warp Prism. And he's going to try to do some damage. And also, if he ended up going Carriers, I could see that actually being somewhat useful. Of just Void Rays could be useful, because there's not much anti-air at all for Ret. He definitely has overproduced in these Broodlords. Up to 19 still, not morphing in anymore, getting a few more Lings. Zealots do come in here, going to be killing some drones, but that is just freeing up supply for Ret just to build more and more units. The mothership is out, but it doesn't have enough energy, or I don't believe it does, for any type of vortex. No, it is very close on it though. Those Archons are out. There are 4 Archons. That is enough to toilet Ret, not splitting up his Broodlords, but even the AI doesn't clump 19 Broodlords that close for 1 vortex to just handle. So WhiteRa does sacrifice his 4th base, and now the Broods are going to be making their way into his 3rd base. And will WhiteRa just sack this? He is going to be losing a lot of gates, which will affect, again, his production. Moving in a lot of Archons. That is 9 Archons out right now for WhiteRa. They're at 2-2. The Broodlords are at 0-1. The mothership is leading the way. Those Broods are very clustered together. Now they're going to be trying to split up. A Vortex does go off. Will the Archons be able to get in there? One is running. And no, it doesn't look like he can get in. There's Urkons, I don't believe are in the vortex. He needs to get in to kill the broods. And there we go, the Urkons now storming on in. Those broodlords do go down very quickly, but not quick enough. They do split up. Only 3 of them did die, and Rhett has so many more broodlords. 14 left. WhiteRa does GG. He is down 3-0 in a BO7. He is going to have to pull something off, but you know what? I think WhiteRa could do it, because the more he plays against an opponent, the more he figures him out, the more he can tailor builds to his opponent. It is going to be going up into game number 4 between WhiteRa and Rhett, coming up soon. Oh, if you want to look at Rhett's injects, just put that up, because that is what we do between these games. You can see now at 10 minutes, 12.5 seconds, finishing the game off 23.2, so definitely slacking a little bit here. And maybe it is just having to take that third base way off yonder, and maybe that screwed up his main. I don't know exactly. Wasn't paying all that much attention to it, but we will be going into game